What is up YouTube, it's Jacob here from the Rust Dimension, and today I'll be bringing you a updated Despia profile. I have been tinkering with the deck for about a month or so, and I've been correcting and reforming and trying to get the deck ready for the Aluber structure deck that we've all been waiting for so long. Really amped for the structure deck to come, and I will show you the profile, and then I hope that you'll be able to see the angle that I was trying to go with, the placeholders that will be taken out of the deck, and then the new cards that will be filling in those spots, which hopefully the pattern you will follow, and hopefully the text or something new that you can try. So let's just go straight into this. So we'll start with the main deck. The lineup is as usual. Usually as usual. It will be the 3 Alubers. I still play 3 Tragedies, starter card and some starter. Searches out all your Despia monsters, and I still go with, well, I still believe in 2 Dramaturge, the 1 Adlib and the 1 Comedy. So people have been sleeping on Comedy. I've been sleeping since the previous profile that I did. I added in the 1 Comedy for the sole purpose, emphasis on soul, for the sword souls, because the blackout targets. So I've been seeing a lot of sword soul variants at our local, so I just added in this. It's another Despian name that you can add if you already have all the others or have nothing else to add. Then you can add this, and you'll be able to work around things like Imperm or Veiler, and especially the blackouts or any other. If you play against Flunderies, the Book of Moon, you can play around things like that. Any targeting issues that you might have, this will be able to sort that out for you. Also counts as a level 1, which will be relevant when we go into the extra deck, and I'll get more into that once we get to that part. Dramaturge is still on 2, can be dropped to 1, or probably will be dropped to 1 once the new cards come, because you're going to need space for more alternative starters and other flex cards that you might be able to use. I just prefer playing 2 because it's better drawing into it, having it in your hand. Alternatively, if you do open Tragedy and branded opening, then you can use these to search the Dramaturge and then the Aluber for your starter / best fusion combo that you can perform with the deck. 1 ad libitum, you can make this more than 1. I just don't like drawing into multiple copies of cards that you can't normal summon or that will be stuck into your hand. So if you don't have a fusion card, you really have a bit of a problem. Ad libitum, if you add more copies, you change the deck into more combo variant, where you can keep special summoning cards back from the grave or banished zone, and continue plays from there. Right, that is it for the Despias. Going into the rest of it, I have still playing the Fusion Destiny variant. So this will obviously change into the malicious will drop out, and this will also be changed into the normal setup, the Dasher and the Celestial, when the new cards come, because you obviously have to cut down cards to be able to accommodate the new cards coming in. If there is a variant, obviously if you go above 40, then this is still fine. I prefer for now running it this way, because you can you can pitch these off most of the cards and get your pluses off from the graveyard from there. And Denier is just at least it's still another normal summon in the form of a dark. And if you have already used Malicious, then Denier can get you into more materials for either fusing or linking, whichever you prefer doing. And then I just play the 2 Edging Chain because I still run the patchwork engine, and I'll explain the ratio when we get to the spells part of it. And then for the one-offs, I still play, well, I recently added the 1 Fallen of Albaz, so you have something to float into from the Queritus. I play the 1 Upstart Goblin, the Albion, because you can draw cards off it, and the name also becomes Fallen of Albaz in grave or on the field. So if you need to do anything from there, this will change obviously into either the 2nd Fallen of Albaz, or this will stay in, and then the 2nd Fallen of Albaz will be added once the new support comes. And then the last one is the tech choice, Fairy Tale Snow. So the thinking behind this was Fallen of Albaz and Snow become your additional normal summons. Normal summon 4 and 5 that is more going 2nd. So if you can normal summon this in your opponent's turn, you can actually do something. Same with the Fallen of Albaz, then they don't actually negate or destroy your Aluber, and then you can carry on your plays, or at least attempt to break boards better until the different variant that we are looking for in the structure deck actually replaces them. And Fairy Tale Snow is actually a light, so if you do draw into it, you can actually fuse with it. You can also fuse with it from the field, and if you have a stacked graveyard going into the grind game, this can float back and be material that you can fuse with, and then you can just use the effect again. Try not to banish this, obviously, because you want to try and use the Fairy Tale Snow multiple times. Alright, going into the spells, as I said earlier, I played the 3 Fright for Patchwork side. In the previous build, I'll leave a link that you guys can check that one out as well, because the combos will be slightly different but more or less the same. If you are a Despia fan, then you can watch my previous video as well, and then obviously the combo section, I can't remember if there will be variant differences or any other plays. But the previous variant that I had was 2 Patchwork and 3 Imps, and the reason why I changed back is because I actually want people to ash me on the Patchwork, so that you have more spells or less monsters on field, because I main deck the Gammas for spell and trap, for monster negate. If they were to attempt to ash or any other thing, then you can actually play with the Gamma and attempt to negate the card, and then you have more likely the chances of resolving your spells, and then you don't sit with you don't rely off the edging to add the Patchwork to get the engine rolling. And from there, the branded cards is obviously still branded opening. So, but I don't play the trap card. I try and mold this off the Shrouded Dragon, because you want to have this in your graveyard to protect your fusions on the field, even if you didn't see it in your opening hand. And the next one would be I still stick with 3 branded in red. This obviously becomes a disruption now with the new Guardian Chimera. Still like the 3 copies. I actually hope that I can play more. I keep setting this card back even after using all 3 off the Tragedy, and I think that's just it for now for the Despia cards. And then going into the rest of it was 2 Fusion Destinies and 2 Polymerizations. I still cut down the Super Polys to 2 copies, because I don't really like top decking Super Poly going into mid to late game, because I have less cards in my hand, unless Chimera's been resolving constantly, then this is actually fine. Previous build had 3, it's still an awesome card, and when you see it at the right time, it's still very good. The 1 copy of the Theater, this can be made into 2 copies if you like. I just prefer the 1 because I don't like relying on this. Once you see what I got in the side deck, then this actually becomes relevant only then. And for the last 1 offs is the Called By and the 1 Foolish Burial. So I changed the Gold Sark to Foolish Burial because of the Fairy Tale Snow, so you can at least if you already have Tragedy in your hand, then you can resolve its effect either by fusion, by sending by card effect, then you can send the Fairy Tale Snow off the Foolish Burial and have the card engraved from there. And the only hand traps that I run in the deck is the Gamma package, as mentioned earlier. This can obviously be changed into any hand traps, and without the space that you can make, you can actually have 3 of any ashes or any. I obviously recommend light or dark type of hand traps, because that's just the best synergy of the deck. So drawing into the Gamma after you've used already Gamma and Driver, then at least it's not a brick, and it's also a card that you can discard of stuff like Super Poly or branded opening. Sorry. Going into the extra deck, I stuck with 2 Masquerade. 3 I feel is if you at your locals, if you play against multiple heavy combo decks, yes, then you can play 3 copies and it will do you some justice. By our locals, there's a very large variant. There are still a lot of trap decks, so multiple Masquerades won't really do much. I prefer, in my play style, leaving this for last. So once you've actually gotten your opponent's life points down 4,000 or less, then I start bringing out these to try and force them to limit their plays. And still 2 Quiritus, still the best card in my opinion. It's a lot of pressure if they know they don't really sure what's going to be summoned from the deck off this, and this floating into a Fallen of Albaz that you can use to fuse away a monster on your opponent's side of the field is actually pretty broken. I still play the 1 Priskinian. This might get dropped out later when the support comes, Play the one Albion and the one Brigand, just as multiple targets for the Fawn of Albaz himself. I do not play the Titaniclad because I don't have any Dogmatica stuff. This will obviously be Titanclad if you had more dog stuff in the deck to be able to use that more. The non-target for fusions actually came up once, and which is why I actually kept this in the deck, which was brilliant. Briskinian was one of my MVPs going against the Sky Strikers. I used Briskinian to special summon my opponent's DPE to my side of the field, and then in the following turn I used the Briskinian to special summon the Kaina each time to target one of their Sky Strikers so that they can't attack, use DPE to pop the Kaina and the Sky Striker in the extra monster zone of the opponent, and then as the turn follows you use the Briskinian again to special summon Kaina and just keep the loop going, which was pretty cool. One DPE obviously, one Destiny Hero Dangerous. Got some new tech that I'm trying out with this, and I'll give my reasoning once I get to the card. This will obviously fall out once the package in the main deck changes to Celestial and Dasher, because then this won't be necessary anymore unfortunately, but there will be better fusions for the deck. And then double Chimera, which was my new favorite card in the deck. I bumped this up to 2 because 1 was just not enough. Using one in your opponent's turn, using the second one in your turn, the value that you get off the drawing of this is actually pretty broken, and so summoning it in defense in your opponent's turn or then attack in your turn, it doesn't really make a difference. They can't just swing over this easily. For super poly targets or just to help yourself fuse into better things, one Dracostepelia. This can be obviously any super poly target that you prefer. And that is just it for the fusions for now. I have the one Exceed, the Beatrice Lady Eternal. The reason why I'm trying this is that I actually tried 2 new cards. So I'm just going to place this out here for you. So it's this, and then the links was these 2. So essentially what happened was the Anima and the Beatrice came in later. This was a Zeus, and this was can either be a Dingirsu or a copy of Lancelot, because you end up having a lot of 8s in your following turn that you can overlay and you can do stuff with it. What I found myself doing was never relying on any of those 2 to actually do anything. So it was kind of like a flex spot on both ends. I just never made Zeus for weeks on end. The odd occasion where it actually came up, then it was useful, but I wanted to try something new with the Beatrice, because you can actually use Beatrice or make Beatrice off the Destiny Hero Malicious and the Dangerous, and then you can use this to either mold Tragedy if you need to get into your plays from there, or you can just mold the Fairy Tale Snow and have a better form of disruption, and that has a pretty big defense and still light, so you can fuse this off once the materials are gone. And then the idea of the Anima was, I think I did a combo video in my previous video vid that I put up. I used a Link Karibo to link off the Tragedy, and then I activate the Branded in Red, bringing back the Tragedy and then fusing it and Link Karibo away to make anything that you need, and then triggering the effect of the Tragedy from there. So the idea was this can obviously be Link Karibo still. I just went for Anima because it gives you a going second option, as well as you can mid to late game, if you run into, you don't see any Alubers or anything like that, you can normal summon a Tragedy and actually get some more value off the card like that. So that was the thinking behind that. So that's it for the main deck. Going the main deck slash extra deck. Going into the sides, we've got some new cards in here as well. I still stuck with the 3 Lanciers because stopping the Flanderies became a bit of more of an issue on our side. We started seeing multiple players playing that, so I needed something in the light or dark section that could actually play against them, and this came up a lot. And obviously for your any rogue matchups where the vanishing is important, you can use this, and if you don't use it, you can fuse it away. So the same thinking with the hand traps in the main deck. I wanted to stick to lights and darks. New tech that I tried that I'm actually going to preach, the Dimension Shifter. The reason why I chose Shifter is because your monsters can still trigger regardless where they fall. So if you do fuse into anything under Shifter, they still get banished, but they still special summon back. You still get your searches, or even if you just link off the tragedy into your anima under dimension shifter, you can trigger the tragedy from there, and this obviously kills a lot of the decks, PKs, Sword Souls, any other variant like that. It actually stops Dragon Link as well as your Dragon Maid matchup. This makes it extremely difficult for them to get materials back or to loop into cards that they need to keep the flow going. And the new tech that I also tried out was a 3 sphere modes. So this is kind of to also help with your Flanderies matchups, because it counts as a normal summon, so you can tribute off the barrier statue if you obviously the deck can't play, because it's kind of difficult to normal summon Aluber, which is your strongest normal summon, to be able to hit over the barrier statue if they can either bounce the card or if they can flip it face down with Book of Moon. And then going for just the power spells, 3 Dark Runomorph just for your heavy combo decks, and then Twin Twisters for any of your back row decks, or those extra players that play the Eldritch with their 3 skill drains, which actually has a bit of a problem for us to deal with as well. So the extra deck was mainly set up for being able to go against Sword Soul, Flanderies, and then any skill drain variant deck. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoy the combo section. That is it for today, guys. Thank you very much. Please give the video a thumbs up Please subscribe if you haven't already, and please drop a comment if you'd like to see anything else, any other variants of the deck that you feel, or any tips that you might be able to give me that I can try out at our locals. Thank you very much.